Hello everyone, I am back with another video, this time to talk to y'all about a series of comic books that exists in a shared universe that I have gotten into and am really excited to keep reading. I am talking about the Energon Universe comics, published by Skybound Entertainment. This was started by Robert Kirkman, who I think some of you might know some of the stuff he's done. These little indie properties like The Walking Dead and Invincible, just to name a couple. But yes, these are a shared universe of comic books that start with an original story, The Void Rivals, that then moves on to introduce things like the Transformers, specifically Gen 1 Transformers. Generation 1 meaning the original cartoon from the 80s. And we also move on to include G.I. Joe. Now, I know there have been crossovers between Transformers and G.I. Joe in the past. Even in the 80s cartoons, there was a character in one of the later seasons that I actually have not gotten around to watching yet. Old Snake appears in one of the later seasons, and it's pretty much all but confirmed that it's Cobra Commander. And recently Paramount has tried unsuccessfully to do live action G.I. Joe films, and they're attempting to try and do a crossover with their live action Transformers films. I'm not going to be checking it out if they manage to do it. Because, unless I hear it's really good. But, let's face it, it's... no. I only like the first live-action G.I. Joe. I never watched second. I watched, like, 20 minutes of the Snake Eyes movie and just ejected out of there. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about comics. So, anyway. And I'm going to go into some slight, like, story spoilers. Just covering some of the things I talk about. Actually, a couple of them aren't actually slight spoilers, some of them are major plot spoilers. So, if you want to check these out, if you're a fan of Transformers or G.I. Joe, I highly recommend. I will say, they do take some of these, like, there is some of the old, like, established lore when it comes to Transformers. I don't really know a lot about 80s G.I. Joe, because I didn't watch that as a kid. Excuse me. Or as an adult, for that matter. But they do take some of the stuff and retool a bit of it. Like, there's some new stuff that, honestly, is kind of weird to me, but I'm certain it might make sense later as things progress. And, they do play with some of your, like, set expectations if you're a big fan of, like, Transformers and just know some of the stuff. Like, for example, again, spoiler, of course, this is like, first couple pages into the first volume of Transformers. Bumblebee gets shot in the fucking face and dies. He is not in the comic run at all. So, like, don't expect Bumblebee to show up. Of course, I am not caught up on the issues. I'm only caught up on the trade paperbacks because I'm a loser and I only read those. So maybe he comes back. I don't fucking know. I'm assuming not. My statement that I gave to my friend after reading these books, which he introduced to me through the Comic Storian channel, rest in peace, the original guy behind Comic Storian, my take on it is that it takes these older childish properties and makes them edgy. Like, there's a decent amount of edge to this. Like, you have, like, Decepticons just picking up little humans. I'm using a duck for reference, but picking up little humans and just going, squish! Like they're little bugs. And, you know, you don't get that in Transformers cartoons. But I digress. I do really like them. I'm gonna keep reading them until I stop liking them. So that's my spoiler-free opinion out of the way. Go check them out. From here on, I'm going to be talking about plot stuff. So one of the things that I like, and I started at the beginning, I started with Void Rivals, because on the Energon Universe page of Wikipedia, there is actually a chronology, like a release order, which I assume is like a chronology for this. I'll turn my camera around to give you a peek at the Wikipedia page. So, there is a sort of chronology, but given that I only read trade paperbacks, and these comics don't have, like, issue numbers in the front, or at all, really, I just kind of, like, slot them in, like, when number 1 starts. Like, I figure out which trade paperback has what issues, and I just kind of piece them together that way. I know, I'm a nerd, I'm a fucking idiot, one of those two, or both, who knows. That's for y'all to decide. Anyway, so I started with the first sort of book, which would be Void Rivals, Volume 1, More Than Meets the Eye. And it tells this original tale of this this sort of ring world that's in civil war. And it slowly introduces, like, other elements. Like, let's see, I think it's Jetfire who appears in this story. See if I can find him real quick. Oh, there's another thing that appears here that I did not expect. And given that I started reading this year... Oh, no. I guess it's sort of Shockwave that appears first. Actually, what year did these start? When did this start? June 2023. Okay, so... The, Void Rivals debuted in June of 2013. Okay, but given that I didn't start these until last year, I had 2, like, Transformers properties that somehow remembered that, you know, the fucking Quintessons were a thing. And I'm just like, wow, who, like, that is some, like, old, deep lore to remember that those guys are a fucking thing. But anyway, so, like, it starts you off with this original story, and then it just slowly brings in, like this book hits you with, Transformers. Like, that those exist. And maybe that was a surprise when people first read this. I don't know. I don't know if it was announced that they were going to do, like, crossovers, or this, like, shared universe, or whatever. I thought Jetfire appeared first. Am I wrong? Maybe it was just Shockwave. I thought Jetfire was in this book. Am I dumb? Maybe I am dumb. I'm now, like, determined to figure this out. Okay. I don't know. I give up. And then it sort of... So anyway, the story sort of moves on to the first volume of Transformers, which is Robots in Disguise. And, you know, you got the usual, the Autobots and Decepticon war. They crashed onto Earth at some point. And 2 kids, Spike and Carly, I think it is, I think it's Carly. I don't really know. Also, I don't really remember Carly in the 80s cartoon. I know she's there, but, like, I don't remember her. Oh, yeah, Jetfire is, like, the start of, start of this book, so he had to appear in Void Rivals. I just can't find the page. Sorry about these tangents, but I get the feeling if you've watched a bunch of my videos, you're used to this by now. But anyway, so these Transformers volumes, both of them actually, they do something that isn't really done in, like, other Transformers media, and it's that the Autobots are supposed to be, like, getting their asses kicked, basically. Like, they're on the losing end of this war, and things are desperate for them. And you don't really see that. Like, and you definitely don't see it in the cartoons. You really don't see it in the films, any of them for that matter. Except for, like, the first 10 minutes of the 80s film, where, you know, Hasbro was like, hey, we need to make room for all these new toys. Let's kill off the entire fucking cast. In, like, the first 20 minutes of the movie. It's like, sure, that's not gonna traumatize children at all. But these books do actually do a good job of showing that the Autobots are in a desperate situation. Like, they're on the back heel, they are losing this war horribly. Like, characters fucking die. Like I said, the first few pages of this book, like, Bumblebee gets shot in the face by Starscream. Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna count because I want to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, like on page 5 or 6, Bumblebee is shot in the face by Starscream. Oh, sorry. So, characters can die. They will die. And it really shows you that the Autobots are desperate. Like, they're losing. Like, it does not look like they have a way to turn this war around. And they even show that, like, you know, particularly in the second volume of Transformers, Transport to Oblivion, which you see Elita 1 here on the cover, not everybody has faith in Optimus Prime, which is another thing that you really don't see in many of these iterations, adaptations, what have you. Like, Elita questions Prime as a leader, like his priorities, and whether or not he can actually lead the Autobots to victory. But anyway, as I said, as I started to say with slowly building up things, later on in the first Transformers volume, Starscream is attacked by these two military planes. One of them goes down, but before it does, one of the co-pilot ejects, and you see his name, you see, like, his call sign or whatever, and it just reads Duke. Which then leads us into our G.I. Joe books, which actually at this point in this universe, G.I. Joe as a task force doesn't exist. Like, it does not exist yet. So you get to see, like, the foundations of G.I. Joe, like, its beginnings. And honestly, even Cobra as an organization doesn't exist yet. So you get to see the beginnings of that, too. Now, granted, I get a little confused with the Cobra Commander book, which I don't know if he's supposed to come from, like, an alien planet, or if he was a human that wound up on an alien planet, or if there's some, like, secret underground society on Earth. I don't know. I get the feeling there's some, like, old cartoon lore that I don't know about. If anyone has read these books and actually knows what the hell's going on in this, please let me know down below. I would really love to know. Oh, excuse me. But then, yeah, just as things go on, they just sort of keep building up these story elements. The Destro book further builds up, like, Cobra's army. What do they call them? The Crimson Vipers, I think they're called. Like, Destro helps fold them into the army. I mean, of course, he has Mars Industries. And ultimately, what's bringing these worlds sort of together is this hunt for Energon, which again is why it's called the Energon universe. Sort of right now, Void Rivals is kind of like the outlier of these stories, but what's bringing the Earth story, Transformers and G.I. Joe and Cobra together, is this hunt for Energon, this brand new energy source that the Transformers rely on, and that Cobra is trying to harness. And of course you've got G.I. Joe, which Duke has it out for these giant robots because, you know, his brother-in-arms got killed by Starscream. So you've got the Joes who are not really on anyone's side. They're just, you sort of have this, like, three-way thing going on. You've got the Decepticons who want to harness Energon from Earth. You've got the Autobots who are trying to stop them. You've got Cobra who wants the Energon for themselves. You've got G.I. Joe that are, you know, just against the Cybertronians in general. I don't think they've run into Cobra yet. I could be wrong. You've kind of got Scarlet actually out on the fringes here, dealing with the Arashikage and Storm Shadow, who actually has this old weapon that was made from Energon. So it's like, okay, well, how did this sword come into existence? You've got all these disparate world-building elements that just add layers to this. Actually, I think at the end of the Duke book, you actually find out that Hawk is putting a separate unit together that is different from G.I. Joe that he doesn't want Duke to know about. So there's something going on there. I don't know what it is yet. Like I said, I'm behind when it comes to like the comic issues, and I'm waiting for the trade paperbacks because I'm a loser. But I just like that they keep adding these little extra layers of story and world building and intrigue, and it's fun. It is fun to me. I have not actually been this excited to keep up with a comic series in a long time. And actually, most of the comic series that I read, they're over, they're done. I think the last time I blew through a comic series like this was King in Black. The Donny Cates run of Venom. So, but anyway, that's kind of my whole spiel. I just wanted to ramble and rant about how much I like this series. I don't think the trade paperbacks start releasing again until it looks like May. It looks like May, the third volume of Transformers releases. And then in June, a week apart in June, there's the third volume of Void Rivals, third volume of Void Rivals, and then the first volume of G.I. Joe. Another thing that I do like about this whole thing, and Robert Kirkman has gone on record saying they're never going to have more than 4 books running at any given time. So it'll be kind of easy to keep up with, hopefully, for people that want to keep up issue by issue. And hopefully the Saint that keeps, that keeps putting down the issue order releases, like what order they're releasing. Hopefully the Saint that keeps putting that onto Wikipedia keeps doing so I can keep track of this. Because whoever you are a saint. You're doing the Lord's work for nerds like me. So, anyway, that's all I want to say. Y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all next time.